How do you start your sales calls? The reason I ask, over the last 8 years working in sales, I reviewed hundreds upon hundreds of sales calls, and only a handful of those conversations with prospects started the right way, in a way that could lead to a closed sale. Well, in today's video, you're going to learn how to perfect the first 2 minutes of a sales discovery call. 3 different scripts and frameworks top tech sales account executives are using daily to kick off their conversation with prospects the right way. And because you watched today's video, you're going to get free access, link in the description of this video, to the discovery agenda I've used over the last 3.5, nearly 4 years to kick off my conversations the right way that has helped me achieve a 40% close rate in tech. Thanks for watching, guys. Let's get into it. Last week, you cold called a prospect. They picked up, and fortunately for you and for them, they have a problem you could potentially solve. They agreed to meet with you. Yesterday was the meeting. That meeting didn't go all that well. The prospect controlled the conversation, and that meeting didn't end in a next step getting booked. That opportunity is all but lost. If you had used one of these 3 agenda scripts and frameworks I'm about to share, you would have remained in complete control of that sales conversation from start to finish. And if it made sense, you would have booked a next step on the calendar with the prospect at the end of the call. The first agenda script is the buy the book script. Before I share a live sales call recording of mine demonstrating how to kick off the conversation the right way using the buy the book agenda on a real sales call, we need to make a commitment to each other. Whenever we have a conference meeting set up, a web conference meeting set up with a prospect, I don't care what you use, whether it's Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, our camera will remain on from start to finish. I don't care, guys, if you are the only person on that sales call with your camera on. You're going to see that in a second. Closed deals involve webcams being used 41% more often than lost deals. Now that we got that commitment out of the way, here's me kicking off the conversation the right way using the buy the book script to start that call. Sounds good to me. So team, yeah, it's great to meet you. My name is Matt McNamara. I head up the California market for Mass 360. And then also on the call for my team is Jason Testa. Jason is my partner on the technical engineering team. So any technical questions that are over my head, Jason is more than happy to hop in and answer those today. Looking at the calendar, I have us down for 60 minutes. I don't think this conversation is going to take the entire time. But how are you folks on time? Any hard stops that Jason and I should be aware of?
No, not from my end.
Awesome. Here is what we were looking to accomplish in the next 45 minutes or so. Of course, when I get your buy-in and feedback towards this game plan, it's important before I hop into the demo portal that we first get a good understanding on how you're managing your devices today, some of the challenges around that, and really what you're looking to accomplish with this project. That way, when I share out my screen and hop into the demo portal, that portion of the conversation is tailored to your specific use cases. At the end of the conversation, I would like us to be in a position where you folks are either interested and we schedule a good next step that makes sense for your team, or you're not interested, you let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings or Jason's, so we can avoid wasting time. That's what we were looking to accomplish in the next 45 minutes. IXL team, this is your time. We're super flexible. What would you folks like to add to that agenda to make sure this is a productive conversation today?
I think that agenda sounds pretty on point.
There are 4 core elements that I used in that agenda script to kick off that conversation the right way with the prospect. Element number 1 is time. That conversation with that specific prospect was set up for 60 minutes. You would think that because 60 minutes is on the calendar, it's blocked off on the prospect's calendar, that they have 60 minutes set aside for that conversation. But that isn't always the case. Maybe something popped up that day in the week where that 60 minutes, they can't meet for that entire time. They can only meet for 30 minutes. We need to know that as a salesperson at the start of the conversation, because that time constraint will likely impact how we run our sales conversation, the goal, and our agenda. Element number 2 is to clearly state the goal for the conversation. The outcome I recommend we shoot for today is, and then share the goal. Now, you'd think that sharing the goal for a sales conversation is something you can't screw up as a salesperson, but you'd be surprised. I was on a call with a business partner rep. This was maybe 30, 45 days ago. And the rep kicked off the conversation with the prospect. The first time the rep was meeting with the prospect and I was meeting with the prospect by saying this: Chris, the goal of today's conversation is to get you so fired up about Mass 360 that by the end of the year, you purchase it. Now, when the rep said that, I felt uneasy, I felt uncomfortable, I cringed a little bit, and if I felt that way, you best believe the prospect felt that way. because that way they kicked off the conversation. It was super salesy and pressure filled. Instead, the rep should have kicked off the conversation by saying something as simple as this: Chris, the outcome I recommend we shoot for here is to figure out and learn together if Mass 360 could solve any problems you folks are having around mobile device management and security. To get there, the agenda I have in mind is share the agenda. The agenda is the roadmap of how you're going to spend your time together, the salesperson and the prospect, to achieve the goal and the outcome. That's element number 3. Most reps would then start the discovery portion of the call, but they're missing element number 4. This is such a key element that 99.99% of sales reps miss when kicking off a conversation the right way. And if you incorporated this element, it's going to help you book a next step on the counter with the prospect at the end of the conversation. And that's talking about the next step at the very start of the call. Chris, by the end of today's conversation, I'd like to put you in a position where you're either interested and we schedule a good next step that makes sense for your team, or you're not interested, you let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings so we can avoid wasting time. Sound fair? That upfront contract will help you get agreement on a next step if it makes sense to move forward at the end of your call. And almost forgot to mention, this script and every single script I use from start to finish in my sales discovery and demo conversations to achieve a 40% close rate in 2024, and hopefully in 2025, I think I could get that up to a 50% close rate, can be found in the discovery and demo system. Link in the description. It's a 63-page ebook plus a Notion template to help you organize your sales conversations and track performance. And you also get exclusive access to 15 of my live sales discovery and demo calls. So you can see all these scripts I'm sharing in today's video and every other video on this topic in action. Link in the description. The Buy the Book script is my recommendation, especially if you're just starting out, but for some, they found it to be too long, wordy, and rehearsed, a bit too scripted. If you're in that camp, you have to give the to-the-point script a try. Here's the framework. Chris, the 60 minutes we have today still works, right? Awesome. Here's what I had in mind for today's call. We'll walk through how you're managing and securing your mobile devices to see if there's any challenges Mass 360 could solve, and if so, I could hop into the demo portal and walk through how we could solve those specific challenges. Depending on feedback, we could schedule a more in-depth demo or part ways because we both believe this isn't the right fit. What's the one thing you want to accomplish today? It contains all the elements of the Buy the Book script, but it's much more casual and trimmed down. Both of those agendas are great options for 99% of reps, but for the 1% of rep who likes to be funny, humorous, unique, different, a pattern interrupt, to be bluntly honest on sales calls with prospects, you gotta give the Honest Abe script a try. This framework leads by understanding the prospect's expectations for the conversation, and then we'll share and list out all the objections or reasons why folks like them do not move forward and buy the product or service. It sounds like this. Chris, I'd like to start today's conversation by understanding your expectations. That way we're aligned and this is time well spent for you and your team. And then I'd like to share with you all the reasons why folks like you typically don't buy our product or service. That way you get all the bad news at the start of the conversation. And if you hate it, we can both save each other some time. Sound fair? Yes, it's a bit bold, it's audacious, but it removes any sort of stress and tension at the start of the conversation and just allows you, the salesperson, and the prospect to get real and have a real conversation together. Shout out to Jack Frimstone for that framework. Guys, if you liked this video, you have to check this one out because you might be thinking, well, this is great. I know how to kick off the conversation the right way with the prospect with these agendas and frameworks, but where do I take the conversation from here? If that's what you're thinking, check out this video right here. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it.